Hey Catalyst. Today we're going to talk about the things that you could be doing instead of watching YouTube and why it's probably okay that you're not doing those things. So Christine has this paper that she's been working on for school all week. She also has been sick since last Friday. And so as she's been working on the paper a little bit here and a little bit there, she's gotten it up to about 7 pages at this point, and it's supposed to be 8. She really doesn't want to spend any more time going out and finding any more material. Then she took a look at the overall point value for the length of the paper, which was worth 1 point out of a 25-point paper. The 25-point paper is worth 25% of her overall grade, which, if you do the math back on that, that means that the length of the paper is worth 1% of her overall grade. Yes, 1%. So at that point, she had to make the decision whether or not she wanted to go and do more research and do more work to be able to actually meet the length, or if she would much rather go and lie down on the couch because she's been sick all week. And you can imagine what she chose to do. So I've seen this a lot. I've actually done it myself, where people don't necessarily take a look at what they could be doing and whether or not they should continue to push onto something, or if maybe it's good enough. I've done this myself, where I continue to work on something when I could be working on something else, trying to make it perfect. Number one, nothing is perfect. That'll never happen. And number two, the thing is that there's a certain amount of diminishing returns over time that you get with the amount of time that you spend on something. What we often forget is that it's not really a linear scale as we feel like we're approaching what is 100%. Maybe I put an hour into that and I'll get it maybe to 85% of the way there. And then I'll work on it another hour and I'll get it to about 91% there, in terms of however I'm grading it. And then I put in another hour, and then I get it to like 94. And if I want to get it to 95, at this point, I'm going to have to put in like 4 or 5 hours to really get it to that next 1%. 1%. I think we don't necessarily always look at those diminishing returns and say, okay, what could I be doing else? What could I be doing otherwise instead of trying to make this perfect? Instead. And so what we have to take a look at is what's called opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the cost of not doing something else because you're choosing to do whatever it is that you're doing instead. And so when you're doing something, not only are you getting the value out of doing that something, but you also have to think about what the opportunity cost is. So in Christine's case, the value of actually working on her paper and getting that last 1%, as opposed to being comfortable under a nice warm blanket and lying on the couch and being far more comfortable than sitting at the table and working on a computer. You can actually consider opportunity costs in a variety of different ways. So here's a couple different ways to think about it. My sister actually had a job that she was working, and she had to drive downtown to go to that job and make the money that she was making, and then she would have to drive back. And so that was about 45 minutes or an hour that she would have to drive in both directions, plus the time that she was spending at work. This was not good for her in terms of the fact that she actually wanted to spend more time with her kids. And so therefore the opportunity cost of being able to spend more time of actually being with her kids outweighed her value in terms of what she was actually doing in terms of her job. What you have to remember in all of this is the fact that the value of whatever it is that you're doing, generally speaking, is quite subjective. Even if something is going to make you $100,000, you could absolutely hate it as compared to the things that you could be doing otherwise. And so therefore, that $100,000 is just a monetary value, maybe not necessarily the value in terms of emotions or the value in terms of happiness that you get out of something instead. This is oftentimes why people will leave jobs where they're making 6 figures, and they'll take jobs where they're making not even 5 figures, but they're much happier in what they're doing. So you may say, that's all well and good, but I get sucked in and I don't pay attention to what's actually going on, and the next thing I know, I've spent 4 hours on this thing and just trying to get that last little 1%, and get that line that I painted just right. So how do I avoid that? Well, there's a pretty easy way to do that, and you can actually just time box your work. And so what you do is figure out how much time you want to spend to get it up to a relative amount close to where you want to be, and then just go ahead, set a timer for yourself, work on it all through that time, and then once you've done that, then decide, okay, is this good enough? And if it's not, then take a look at what it'll take to actually get it better and whether or not you're willing to invest that time. So that's everything I want to talk about today. Tell me about your opportunity cost that you missed out on by spending time watching this video. Thanks for watching.